Extra minutes.
I wanted to tell the story of ISIS and Iraq and Syria, full stop. It's really difficult because none of us are idiots. None of us want to get hurt. And you know the potential is there for that. But you also want to tell the story that is happening. And the story that is happening is that there is a war there. There is actually combat going on. You sometimes skirt around the edges of that in getting all the other elements that you need for this story. And you're trying to stay safe, you're trying to just tell the story. You don't want to get hurt, but you do want to get some of the action that's happening because that is what is happening. The heavy guns of ISIS are just a few hundred metres away.
So when we arrived at this sort of urban front line, we walked right into the middle of an erupting firefight. We felt safe, but it was very hot. When we came out of that, one of the security guards said to me, well, bang goes the idea of sending me ahead with a camera. If this is where they've brought the crew, God knows where they're going to send me.
Well, we thought we were coming into a part of the town that was under Kurdish control, and it is, but I don't think I fully realised how close ISIS would be, and nor that there'd be such frequent firing, and being, it is 200 to 300 metres away, but it feels even closer than that. I think it almost happens too quickly, and in a way the adrenaline is flowing too fast to be nervous, even though I'm jumping out of my skin every time I'm hearing the weapon fire. It is a sort of a reaction, a shock reaction to the sound. There was no choice but to follow the lead of the beautiful YPJ commander who had taken me by the hand.
To be honest, I've never been in a war zone frontline situation as intense as this one. I've been in a lot, and Tara has been as well. I think the most fearful I felt, and I'm pretty sure it's the same for the crew and Tara, was not when we were actually at the front line where fighting was occurring. It was crossing between the fortification points through what seemed to be no man's land, and there didn't seem to be any obvious fortifications between us and them apart from a trench. In this situation, your biggest fear is being kidnapped randomly. And if you're kidnapped by these guys, that's where it starts to go horribly, horribly wrong.
For ISIS, this part of the front line is critical. They still control the town's river crossing, which is near here, and it's their main supply route for weapons into Iraq. So both sides are using everything they have to push the other out. In the time we've been here, which is about an hour or so, the firefight is increasing. And again, we're just being told it's too dangerous to be here, we've got to go. The intensity of going to the front line like we did is quite bizarre, because at one moment, all you can hear is gunfire, and you don't know exactly where you're running, and you don't know what you're going to be exposed to, and that's very, very intense. And then when we've decided that we've covered it as much as we can, my lovely YPJ commander takes me by the hand again, and we run over the hill, and on the other side of the hill is lunch.
So we've just run over this mound of dirt just behind us to have lunch on the front line. Don't know what they've got in mind, but
Yes, you do. Come on.
cup of tea, bit of bread. What do you think?
Bit of lamb.
Bit of lamb, bit of tahini. A good producer always manages to work lunch into every shoot.
Absolutely. And a good soundo keeps the boom out of shot.
Whenever we go overseas, go into situations that we're unfamiliar with, we try to find a fixer to help us. And it's crucial. It's crucial to get a great fixer, because they're the local knowledge that they either translate for you, they have the contacts, they know the situation on the ground.
And the red house, they are behind that building.
Having a good fixer that you can trust in a war zone is critical. Just about every one of the Western journalists and aid workers who've been kidnapped and found their way into ISIS were kidnapped because of an untrustworthy fixer, someone who sold them out. We were told that our first price to be passed on to ISIS would be at least $50,000 per person. So when you go into a place like that, you have to absolutely trust your fixer. The experience in Syria has been, if you get it wrong, it could be deadly.
The women that we met were just incredible. I mean, they are so committed to their cause and they are so independent, and there is nothing token about their equality there. ISIS is threatening to take away the sorts of things we all hold dear, and that's what these women are fighting for.
These women fighters are not only incredibly brave, incredibly tenacious, but they've given up everything for this fight. So I came away from this story thinking I have just met possibly the most extraordinary group of women in my life.
I hope people come away seeing their determination, seeing how brave they are, and understanding that these women feel that they're not just fighting for themselves, but for the rest of the world too.